Hello everyone and welcome to Nerdy Boy's Reviews. I'm your host, Nerdy Boy Kristian, and this is your nerd podcast where the latest in nerdy news in comics, television, and more is discussed. So, explicit content warning, material on this podcast may not be suitable for listeners of all ages. Yeah, you've been warned. What's going down, everybody? So, I haven't podcasted in a while, so I just wanted to, put out a podcast discussing just like the latest kind of nerd news and also some of the other things going on with nerdy things in the nerd world, and that's why I'm here right now. So, I'm going to start with, I went and saw Sonic the Hedgehog because my fiance really wanted to see it, and so we had nothing better to do. We went and saw it, and overall, I would say it's a largely forgettable film. It has some moments here and there. No spoilers, I'm not going to go in depth on the movie. I'm just going to say that if you like Sonic, you might like the movie, but again, it's largely forgettable, in my opinion. Like I said, it has its moments, but it's not, it's not groundbreaking. And, the redesign of the character looked good, but other than that, was there a lot to it? Not really. But it did beat Birds of Prey at the box office on its first weekend. I don't know if it's still beating it or what, but I haven't seen Birds of Prey yet. And my fiance also wanted to see that. We just, she wanted to see Sonic more at this point, so we saw Sonic, but Birds of Prey has gotten some mixed responses, and there have been, it's one of those things that I don't care to discuss some of the politics surrounding the movie, with, in regards to people saying, well, if you didn't like the movie, then you're a misogynist, you hate women and stuff like that. I'm sure there are people who didn't like it who are those things, but that's not the sole reason people don't like the movie from what I've seen. But hey, maybe they have internalized misogyny or whatever people are saying. I don't know. I don't really care. I'm going to judge the movie when I see it based on the movie. But that kind of brings me to an interesting point as well, because, there are some people who didn't like the movie because it was different than the comics, and other people who didn't like it for other reasons or whatever. And it's fun in this world and nerd culture to have these discussions or to argue or to fight with other people, I guess, about why something is good and why something is bad. And at the end of the day, I used to be heavily engulfed in things like that. And even, Scott and I, when we have discussions, we go back and forth and say, this is why this is good from an objective standpoint or from a subjective standpoint or whatever it is. But I've kind of come to the conclusion that none of it really matters. If you like something, you don't necessarily have to explain why you like it. Or if you do, just because someone else doesn't agree, doesn't mean you're wrong. If you don't like a movie because it differs from its source material, like if you go to a comic book movie and it's super different from the comics you read, and that's not the reason you go to those movies, so that's why you don't like it, then that's fine. I have no problem with that. And I used to be that person as well, and then over time I've come to realize that adaptations need to be made to suit stories and things like that, when you're using a different medium, especially if you're going from a book to a movie. And then I would argue, well, that's not a good reason because there need to be adaptations made and blah blah blah, which again, that can be my opinion, and it doesn't take away from someone else disliking the movie for those reasons. Even if I don't buy it, it's fine, right? We all are our own people, we all have our own opinions. We all go to things for different reasons, and because someone is going to, a movie for a different reason than me, if they don't like it, doesn't mean that they're wrong, because that's their interpretation, that's their opinion, that's what they went for, and they didn't get it, and that's okay. And I don't think that's the fault of the movie, in any specific or indirect example, but at the same time, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't. I can have my opinion, they can have their opinion, and we can both be right for ourselves. it's boring to make that argument when it's me and Scott discussing things, and like, he says something, I'm just like, oh yeah, dude, I disagree, but that's your opinion, it's cool, like, it doesn't make for good listening. So people are going to be like, oh, okay, this is kind of boring, dude, which, in regards to most situations it is. So, we have fun with it, and that's that. But at the end of the day, no matter how, intense we get or how angry we sound, like, we still respect each other. We still respect each other's opinions. And I feel that way with most people. Like, even movies like BVS, which we've been really hard on, because, I just really think it's a bad movie and it does irritate me. But people who like it, they have their own reasons for liking it. They like it for other things that maybe I dislike it for, like, and that's okay, because we're different people with different perspectives, and I don't have a problem with that. I'm not going to tell them, you need to hate this movie because I hate it, kind of thing. So I feel that way with Birds of Prey. Like, if people didn't like it because it differed from the comic books, then that's fine. And if your argument is, well, it didn't differ that much because of this, and this, that's fine too. They still don't have to like it. So, again, like, it's a movie. When I see Birds of Prey, I'll have my own opinion, and no matter how much it differs from anybody else's opinion, it'll be my opinion, and maybe it'll change over time as well, because I'm fluid with a lot of things. Like, I'm willing to change my opinion on things if there's evidence to present it, and that's why we have these fun discussions. Is maybe I will change my mind, or maybe I missed something. That's why we discuss it. But at the end of the day, like, it's okay to have opinions that are different from other people, because we're not all the same people. We don't think the same necessarily, and we don't all have the same perspective. So that's just where I stand on that. Something else. The Clone Wars animated Star Wars series has returned. It's 2 episodes in as of this week. I only watched the first one from season 7 that returned, and I watched the series previously. What I'll say is that it started kind of slow for me. Like, I know a lot of people, some of the appeal of the Clone Wars is they like the clones, and some of our favorites are back, and we get introduced these other clones. That's really interesting, but and to me it is, but I don't care about the clones in so much as like, I like their interactions with the Jedi, and those are the reasons why I watch it. Like, I always get more out of some of these characters that are more legacy characters, as opposed to just the clones. Like, even though we're familiar with Cody and Rex and some of these other clones, like, I just don't care about them on their own as much as I care about how they are with Anakin and Obi-Wan and other things, because Anakin, despite people disliking him so much from the prequel movies, is really good in the Clone Wars, and I find his character interesting, and I like his progression and storyline as a character, and I want to see more of him, and I think episode 2 does have more of him, so I'm looking forward to actually sitting down and watching that. But until then, just based on the first episode, like, I think it was just like, I would like to see some actual Jedi doing some things. just because I love Jedi, like, but again, that's personal opinion, but I'm really looking forward to watching episode 2. And there's other Star Wars news that was announced this week, but I'll get into that later, because it's kind of big news, and I want to cover that thoroughly. We also had the Mandalorian wrap up, I think, since the last time we podcasted, which, again, the Mandalorian, I don't know if I've said it on the podcast before, but I know I've said it to people, is probably one of the best things to ever come out of Star Wars, in my opinion. Like, it's phenomenal. To me, it is intrinsically Star Wars. It inherits what is Star Wars, as well as not being just a Star Wars show. It's its own thing as well, and I really enjoy it. So Mandalorian is phenomenal, fantastic thing. There was also the Morbius trailer. So, we talked a lot, when we were announcing these things. When we go over the news, and we're like, hey, okay, Sony announces Morbius, and Sony has been announcing all these Marvel comic book movie things that they want to do, and I just don't care about them without Spider-Man. I don't care about Morbius as a character for the most part, and I even said it might be a great movie, but it's Morbius, and I just don't care about him. And I'm still going to see the movie. But it's fun to make fun of them for picking certain characters that, I don't know, Morbius has had some of his own ongoings before, a limited series, but he doesn't all the time because they just don't sell well. Because without Spider-Man, nobody really cares about Morbius, and to me, that's the honest truth. I even had a toy of Morbius as a kid, no joke, and I still don't care about him that much. Oh Jesus, that's just where I'm at. So. After seeing the trailer, I am really excited for the movie actually, though, because I think it actually looks really good. I like the direction they're going with it, and we see things that are important. We see a mural of Spider-Man, which lets us know that there is a Spider-Man in this world, even if it's maybe not Tom Holland. We don't know, but we do get Michael Keaton is also in the trailer at the end, who is the Vulture in Homecoming. Again, could be an alternate universe with the same character. Who isn't the same one from Homecoming, but is still Adrian Toomes, the Vulture, who looks the same. That's always possible as well. We don't know, but if it does take place within the MCU, if that's ultimately where we're heading, or if there's some kind of interdimensional travel thing or something where Spider-Man exists in this world and it's played by Tom Holland, I'm all for it. And I think that's something that we need. So that stuff gets me excited. So Morbius right now, I'm looking forward to it. Suicide Squad, James Gunn has announced his wrapped production, or wrapped filming. Sorry, I said that wrong, but yeah, it's wrapped filming, which means what? Trailer in 3 months, maybe. So, it's James Gunn, and James Gunn did the unthinkable with Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, I don't remember a single person being excited for that movie when it was announced and based on the trailers, and I certainly wasn't, and maybe there were people who were, but I thought the trailers looked terrible. I thought the movie was going to be terrible. I'd never really cared about the Guardians of the Galaxy as a comic book reader. But no, it was amazing. It was an amazing movie, and I think that has a lot to do with James Gunn, and I think he might do something similar with Suicide Squad, and they got a great cast as well. I'm a little tired of Harley Quinn. I think she's overdone, and it frankly kind of annoys me. But and that said as well, I haven't checked out her animated series on DC Universe, which I hear is phenomenal. But I'm gonna check it out, and I believe that it is because everything I've seen from DC Universe, which really has only been Titans season 1 and 2, is really good. I really enjoyed it. And season 2 Titans I thought was, it is slow at points here and there, and there's like some things that are like meh, but overall I thought it was a really good season, and I thought season 1 was really good as well. Again, slow at points and whatever, but I still need to check out Doom Patrol as well and Swamp Thing. But if you guys are not subscribed to DC Universe, it's like $8 a month or something, and there really is a lot of content on there. So I think it's worth it. And the original series, from what I've seen, has been really good. So I would check it out. But again, back to the Suicide Squad and Harley Quinn, whatever nonsense I was talking about. But yeah, I think Suicide Squad, the new Suicide Squad, not the trash 2016 version, will be good. I'm looking forward to it. And then we also had some Batman test footage showing Robert Pattinson in the suit. The suit looks to itself like a work in progress, which I think is intentional. It's like young Batman just starting out. His suit's not perfect yet, and I think he actually looks fine in the suit. Like, at least the chin, like the upper head is like shaped a little weird, but we'll see how that plays out as the suit maybe evolves or things like that. So I thought it looked good, and there's some other test footage and stuff that's been shown recently, and some set photos and stuff that it looks pretty good. So I have high hopes for it. I'm a big Batman fan, so I think Robert Pattinson will do a fine job. I don't hate it. And I remember when Ben Affleck was announced, people hated that idea too. And I was like, he looked good in the Daredevil suit. I think he'll look good in the Batman suit. And ultimately, I think he did look good in it. And his fight scenes with him looked good to me. It's pretty cool. But he's always been a bigger, bulkier kind of Batman than I prefer like leaner, faster, smarter Batman. But I did like Ben Affleck as Batman. I just didn't like anything he was in, to be honest. Like BVS, Justice League, whatever. Like I didn't like the character, but I liked the look, the aesthetic. So I feel like I'll like Robert Pattinson's Batman more than his aesthetic in the end. But I think they'll come to a point where they complement each other very well. So I'm looking forward to that. But the main thing I want to talk about, which, you know, will be probably the last thing I talk about. There's not, I mean, I know it's been a couple months since we talked about news, but there's not been a whole bunch. A lot of things are in regards to like Birds of Prey or like some of the TV shows like Flash, Arrow, whatnot, which I'm caught up through the ends of last season's, which ended like May of last year, of 2019. But I haven't watched anything from the newest seasons that started in October, I think. So, but I'll run through some like headlines if that helps, of things like Jamie Alexander hints at MCU return, which I wouldn't be surprised. It's probably going to be something small though. Apparently Scott Derrickson is out as director of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, but from other reports and stuff, he never even wrote a draft for it. He did the first one, which was good, but that's not to say someone else can't do one that's better. Rise of Skywalker actress Kelly Marie Tran. I remember, if you listen to our New Year's special that I put out, Scott had a rant in there. It was on our review of Rise of Skywalker. You know, people complaining about Rose not getting enough screen time and how she should get her own series. And the actress who played Rose, Kelly Marie Tran, didn't care that there was a lack of screen time. She was just happy to be in the movie. So, again, it's people speaking for other people that whatever. Anyway, moving on. Birds of Prey had a name change. It was like the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn or whatever. Now it's just called Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey, colon Birds of Prey. It's better, but not much better. So, never talked about that. So, Wonder Woman star Gal Gadot wants a modern day sequel. Don't we all? Duh. Yeah, there's not a whole bunch of other news. Like, most of it is in regards to some toys being released, some random TV show stuff. I mean, Diego Luna is excited to be coming back as Cassian Andor for his TV series on Disney+. Harrison Ford explains why Han Solo had to die. If you're interested in this, I'll tell you why he says he had to die. But maybe you're not interested. If not, just tune out. But he said, I figured that his utility had been exhausted, bled out, and well, I was willing to die for the cause. Bring some gravitas, some bass. So he came to J.J. Abrams with the idea. J.J. Abrams said it was a good idea, and they agreed. They did agree on his surprise appearance in Rise of Skywalker, where, ultimately, something happened. So sorry if that's a spoiler and you didn't know he was in that, but he is. So, Karen Obilome joins cast of Doom Patrol Season 2, named Roni Evers. So don't really care about that because I haven't watched the first season yet. But yeah, some just news about nothing. Paul Dini and Alan Burnett reunite for Batman: The Adventure Continue comic. So if you're a big fan of Paul Dini and Alan Burnett from the Batman animated series, you might be interested in this comic. Phastos is Eternal's openly gay hero, if you didn't know. But yeah, I pretty much talked about everything else. If you're interested in Stranger Things, they had a trailer for season 4. Never watched it, but I'll probably check it out eventually when I have some time to really sit down and watch it. If you're interested in Masters of the Universe, Netflix is reviving it as an animated show with Mark Hamill and Sarah Michelle Gellar being voice actors and actresses. which is neat as well. Netflix doesn't want Lucifer's 5th season to be the end of the show, and from what newer news articles as well, negotiations between Netflix and Warner Brothers are looking good for season 6 of Lucifer. So if you're a Lucifer fan, that might be good news to you. Sonic, beats Birds of Prey at the box office. Netflix superhero series, I Am Not Okay With This, gets new trailer. I don't know what this is, and I haven't seen the trailer, but if you guys want us to talk about that or check it out, let us know via Twitter at Nerdy Boys Review. But yeah, okay, going on to the big news, guys. Lucasfilm announces new Star Wars project, The High Republic. It's important to note, first of all, that this is not a movie or TV series. It's a series of books and comic books that will I'll just tell you what it is. From their words, Star Wars The High Republic, Lucasfilm has gathered a plethora of fan-favorite authors to launch a publishing campaign that will involve adult and young adult novels, children's books, and comics. So what they say is, Star Wars The High Republic features the Jedi as we've always wanted to see them, as true guardians of peace and justice. This is what Lucasfilm Publishing Creative Director Michael Sigling said. He continues, this is a hopeful, optimistic time when the Jedi and the Galactic Republic are at their height. But of course, into the glorious new era, something wicked this way comes. This initiative will give readers, young and old, a new corner of the galaxy to explore through rich, meaningful stories. Plus, readers will learn what scares the Jedi. There's an announcement trailer. You can watch it on YouTube if you want. Look it up, Star Wars The High Republic. The stories cover the events that happened 200 years before Star Wars The Phantom Menace, which is an important note because you guys need to know that the High Republic and the Old Republic are not the same thing. So people hoping for more stories about Darth Revan and characters of that nature, this is probably not where they're going to highlight those things. Maybe they will in flashbacks or something, but I think they're actually completely different time periods. This is not Darth Bane, I don't think, and maybe it is Darth Bane and General Hoth and stuff like that, maybe, but who knows? I'd have to see a timeline, to be honest. The stories will feature brand new adventures and original characters. The main protagonists will be the Jedi Knights, right at the Order's zenith in the Galactic Republic, so the height of the Jedi Order, essentially, is what they're saying. The new group of heroes will have to keep the peace in the Star Wars universe from the forays of the Nile, a sort of space Vikings. The first books and comics will debut in August 2020, starting with Star Wars The High Republic, Light of the Jedi. And back to the forays of Nile, a sort of space Vikings. It's spelled Nihl, so maybe it's Nil. But I don't want you to get that confused with Darth Nihilus. That's spelled a little different, but maybe he'll be in Utu. I don't know. But again, I think that's an Old Republic character, not a High Republic character. But this is really exciting news, and I can't wait to see the stories that are explored here. I'm a big fan of some of the Star Wars books, especially the Darth Bane series. Scott and I both, have a thorough enjoyment of those stories, and I've read a lot of other Star Wars stories as well. So I'm honestly very excited for it, and I love, again, going back to what I was talking about with the Clone Wars, I love the focus on some of the Jedi and their battles and their ideologies and philosophies as well. I think there will be a lot of rich storytelling within these stories, these books, these comics, and I'm here for it. So I can't wait. But that's gonna wrap up what I have to say today. I'm gonna try to keep putting out some content for you guys who maybe don't know. Scott, is a busy man right now because he's working, and his baby was born, and so he might not have a lot of time, free time. So whether he's on the podcast or not, I'm going to try to keep providing some content here and there, but try not to discuss anything big without him, because I think it's kind of boring for you guys just to hear me rambling about nonsense with no other opinions or no other pushback or anything. And Scott has a lot of great ideas and great opinions as well that, I want you guys to hear. So, when he can and when we both can, we'll podcast. But until then, when I have time here and there, I'll try to put out some content and talk about some things for you guys because, as much as I hate to podcast without Scott, I feel like we've also been, kind of neglecting the listeners who want to hear from us or want to catch up on news, and, we're not putting any content out because we don't have the time or whatever, which is maybe unfair to the listeners as well. So that's everything I have for you guys today. That was a little weird, I'm sorry, but yeah, that's everything. Make sure you give us a follow on Twitter at Nerdy Boys Review, and like, subscribe if you haven't already to the podcast. Leave a comment or review on our podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts, so other people can find it. That really boosts our morale and the availability to other people. So that's everything I have for you guys. I hope you enjoyed, and as always, I have one message for you, and that is, stay nerdy, boys.